when I was a kid, we played games. In Ukraine, we played Cossacks and bandits, or Soviets and Germans or Nazis. So that was a derogatory term, and the term that would resonate very well with a negative connotation whenever you use it, pretty much with everybody. And so when he said we'll go demilitarize and denazify the large portion of the population in Russia, would be like, yeah.
I'm Jacoby Thomas Nelson. I've been a missionary in Ukraine over 12 years. I interviewed several Ukrainians and conservative American missionaries to Ukraine. I invite you to join us for the conversation in Ukraine Explained.
Russian ambassador in the United Nations said, so we have this biolaboratory who produce mosquitoes who will bite only Russians and they just bring them to this disease.
When we compare, for example, Russia with this clear characteristic with features of fascism, so we could find some of them in Russia.
What is funny with Russian corruption, that Putin was building his power on corruption, but at the same time, we see that this corruption greatly lessened power of his army.
His stance on Christianity is it's Russian Orthodoxy or nothing. Many of these people who see him as being on their side, if they were in Russia, he'd be shutting down their churches.
I mean, I have compassion toward American people for Biden as a president, because it's somehow a little bit reminds me Yanukovych as the president.
Ukraine is corrupt. They have ties to the Biden family.
I've heard many of them say they want to just rid the world of Ukrainians, get rid of, because there's something innately wrong with Ukrainians and we need to be rid of them.
I even heard from Jordan Peterson, the man I respect highly, but his stance on this war in particular is absolutely rubbish and crazy. I mean, he said draconic laws about Ukrainian language.
The assumption is the media lies all the time. And since it's presenting Ukraine as the victim here, that must not really be the truth.
I'm sure if they really knew in advance that it would take more than a year or maybe years for them to do this, they would never step into this.
I don't see that Bible says fight with evil when you only think that you're enough to stop it.
So if you're against corruption, then you should be for Ukraine, because while it does struggle with corruption, it's fighting against corruption.
I say that it's obvious Ukrainians are not Nazis, and that is because we just aren't.
I see many Russian and Ukrainian speakers. Ukrainians are united, and we don't need to be liberated by Putin.
It probably was after 2014 when they said that they have one more chromosome in the DNA. Haven't you heard it? They said it on the TV that Russians have one more chromosome special, which make them special.
I think for sure that Russia will never win the war.
You don't believe anything the mainstream media is reporting. If the mainstream media is reporting that the Ukrainians are doing well, that's proof that they're doing badly.
Finland is now in NATO. Sweden will join NATO. Ukraine's military is just getting stronger. Russia is a pariah in the world. Russia is losing. Putin is ruining Russia.
If someone's breaking into your house and they're raping your wife and they're destroying your house and they're stealing everything, you don't come to a peace agreement. You start shooting. You get them out, and you don't develop an agreement to have them live in your garage.
In my opinion, Russia lost the war on the 24th of February 2022, no matter how the war will end.
Ukraine cannot give up land for peace. By that I mean, if Ukraine does give up land, that will not guarantee peace.
How you can occupy the country who train mosquitoes to bite only Russians?